We're back, people. What is up? Another Miami Dolphins training camp day 10 recap. Go over all the news that we sort of had come out today. And yesterday, we'll start with some of the stuff we didn't get a chance to because Austin Jackson missed practice yesterday. And then the news came out after that, my stream yesterday of what really was going on. So when it seemed that Mike McDaniel reported he got stepped on and he's expected to be out weeks, which, is bad news that Jackson is injured again. He's probably the player on the team with the biggest injury history, even more so than Phillips and Tua. Jackson has missed time consistently, and we saw how important he is to the offense, especially the running game when he's gone down. Good news is he is, like the timeline, he is expected to be back by week 1. So hopefully he's good to go by then. That's sort of like the silver lining there. Austin Jackson ready to go by week 1. And McDaniel also said he thought Larry Borom had a great day yesterday. I know Keon Smith was reported to have one of his best days. Dolphins also signed Germain Ifedi, another offensive tackle. They worked out like 5 offensive linemen yesterday. Germain Ifedi, he's played a lot of snaps. He's a former first-round pick in 2016. He started like 7 games last year, played around like 500-ish snaps for the Browns. Not a great player. More so a camp body, in my opinion. I guess he could compete for a spot. He was still seeing playing time last year. But I don't know. I think I still would probably trust Borom and Keon Smith more. Rest of the injury news, some positives. Ifeatu Melifonwu returned today, which is big. Melifonwu being back, huge. We know how the safety room is going to be kind of down. Melifonwu returning, he's definitely going to be one of the starters if he's healthy and ready to go. So nice to see that Melifonwu's back out there. And then Eskridge, we thought he had the hamstring yesterday. Apparently it was just cramps. Eskridge also returned. Should be good to go. And then, so that's where we're at there. Then we got, it seems like we never have all 5 offensive line healthy. Then there was an injury today. It seemed that the Alec Ingold thing, you guys have probably seen it. But Alec Ingold went down and apparently was like motionless for a while. People were on a knee. He did eventually get up and walk off the field under his own power. So, I don't want to speculate, but that seems like maybe he got like knocked out or something or, concussion. Hopefully he's good to go because that could, Ingold, while he's not the greatest player, him not being out there does change a big dynamic of the Dolphins offense, like specifically the run game. Like with how they use Ingold, he is tough to replace. Like you would have to probably change up at least some nuances of your play calls. I did see that Tanner Connor was the one who replaced him, which doesn't surprise me because Connor has played fullback in the past. Like last time he played like legitimate regular season snaps was in 2023 and it was at fullback. But I don't know if I would trust him there full time. Like he could give you like some interesting looks as like a receiving fullback, but like I don't know if he'd bring you much as a blocker because you do need some pretty dynamic blocking from the fullback in the Miami Dolphins system. So hopefully Ingold is good. Seemed pretty serious, but he was at least able to get up and walk off under his own power. I believe other players not spotted at practice were Conyers, Jalen Phillips, but I think McDaniel said Phillips should be back. He's probably just missing like a day of practice. Ashton Davis not out there. Dante Trader and Jason Marshall Jr. weren't out there, but they were seen riding like the stationary bikes. So I imagine they'll be back sooner rather than later. And then Cam Smith also still continuing to miss some time. Let's see what else McDaniel had to say. Storm Duck in the orange jersey. Nice to see, Storm Duck being praised. He had a strong day yesterday. Tyreek and Waddle have both praised him. So that's something to take note of. McDaniel said Larry Borom had a great day yesterday. We talked about that a little bit earlier. So hopefully he continue to grow. We know we have questions about Larry Borom's play, but they're seeing potential stuff. And even he talked about, Tyreek mentioned about taking Devon Achane out in short yardage. And McDaniel kind of joked about that. But he said, if you were looking at the reps based on yesterday, they were doing that. They were giving Jalen Wright a lot of short yardage work. And it seems like that's probably where Wright's been most effective based on the reporting in camp is short yardage situations because he's kind of finishing in red zone for touchdowns. Ingold in concussion protocol. Is that what was reported? That wouldn't surprise me if that's what it is because I haven't seen that. Oh, yeah, I just see it now. Ingold is in concussion protocol. So hopefully nothing crazy serious there. We know concussions can be serious, but there's other injuries that could have been a longer term issue in terms of missing time into the season. But now we can get into some of the team stuff. We got some clips to look at today. believe Keon Smith is starting to work at both tackle spots, working everywhere. Can we just tank this year, please? Because we are not winning anything this year. No thanks. I don't really want to tank. I mean, teams don't tank. Like, you can wish to tank, but no teams actually tank. And at least with all these injuries, none of it seems like most of them will be back before the season actually starts. Yeah. I mean, with that mindset, 31 teams should just tank, to be honest. But yeah. Here we go. So they got straight into team after the individual. They didn't do like a lot of one-on-ones. They just went straight into the plays. Shout out Travis Wingfield. A lot of this is from him. Wingfield, gets really in depth. He started off with Jordan Brooks. Jordan Brooks out there making plays right away, stops a run, and then he had another one where he had a sack on a play where Storm pressed Tyreek, and it forced Tua to hold on to the ball. Didn't get his initial shot there. So Jordan Brooks continuously making plays. Easily one of the most reliable players, I think, on this team, and one of the players I'm least worried about. Another Pharaoh Brown mention. Ever since the pads have come on, Pharaoh Brown's made some plays. He caught a pancake on Tyrell Dodson on an inside run from Achane. Wouldn't be surprised. Like, I think Pharaoh Brown and Julian Hill are both like your wide tight ends, and both will play a lot. But I do have probably, like, if I had to like rank it, Julian Hill has, like, I think the more potential upside to like have like super high level reps, but I think he's way more inconsistent than Pharaoh Brown. And I think Pharaoh Brown is also still better than blocker than Durham Smythe. So I think for this year, like, Pharaoh Brown is like a more reliable inline blocker, I think, on a play-to-play basis out of that whole tight end room. And it seems like it's starting to show in practice. And like, that's sort of what I saw on film. Makes you wonder if Pharaoh Brown can play some H-back role for Ingold. I don't think anyone on this team can play the actual Ingold role. I think some of them could do like snaps there, but I don't know if anyone can play like as a true fullback the way Alec does. Like, it would be like limited snaps in those situations. Like, some of them could probably fill in like certain situational plays, but like the full-on role Ingold does, I don't know if anyone fits that bill on the team. Probably would have to sign someone or just change up how you run stuff. Too much money game on it to tank. I mean, no team's tanked. I don't know if a team's ever actually tanked. The players and coaches don't tank, at least. And sometimes, I mean, tanking doesn't even always work. Because we've seen how the teams at the top don't always even draft the best. There's plenty of like options next year where you don't need to actually tank. You can still struggle. You just have to have the right places. He gives a Jordan Phillips strength update. He holds the point on a double team versus Paul and Jonah to clog up a lane on a Jalen Wright run. Jordan Phillips holding double teams against those guys, man, that guy is strong. But on the next run, Jalen finds a nice little space to work through and hits to the second level for a nice run. Then we got a pick here. Jordan Colbert got a pick, but it was really a big force play from Isaiah Johnson because he forced the reroute and really took the wide receiver off his track, and Wilson still tried to throw it, but Jordan Colbert comes away with the pick. So big force there from Isaiah Johnson on the play. I think, Johnson's someone that you want to see potentially step up. He is a guy to keep an eye on in the preseason, because Johnson is probably in that corner room one of the guys who's really on the edge of like making the roster. And if he makes the roster, probably see some potential playing time at some point in the season, but wouldn't be surprised if he ends up like practice squad again. That corner room, it's going to be a very interesting battle to see how it kind of plays out in the preseason. First Cam Good mention, I feel like, but Cam Good basically wrecked the entire Ewers period in team. He defeats the edge, shuts down a run, then gets on Ewers' face. He was super fired up. I feel like that we haven't heard Cam Good really mentioned like at all. I know he's returning off the injury, didn't really play at all last year. So, I mean, good for him getting mentioned. I think it's a tough path for him to make the team, but it's kind of his first time out there getting mentioned. Waddle with a disgusting rep. He beats the press reroute of Duck with a wicked release, turns back to Tua. But Waddle had a nice one-handed snag. I know we have video of that I can show. Here, I got it actually right here. I can show that right now. Here we go. Waddle up here at the top, Duck on him. Makes a nice one-handed grab that you'll see. Able to, do a decent enough job avoiding the reroute, and then just snags the one hand. make, the potential next guy miss, create a big play. Waddle just continues his strong camp. Nice to see some plays happening. Apparently, it's Brewer's second day back, but he did have a snap go over to his head. Hopefully he can clean that stuff up, but I'm not, don't want to get too worried about that kind of thing yet because it is still very early in his process, just returning from injury. Let's see if anything else has come out since then. But yeah, it just seems like the only thing to talk about was, that Ingold is in concussion protocol. Minka had a lot of plays today. Spoiler alert to play later on, but Minka did get a pick six or a very long interception, and it was Tua's first interception of training camp. So, Tua throw a pick, guys, the season's over. Might as well just chalk it up, move on. Season's over. Tua throw a pick in training camp. But yeah, Minka disrupts the throw to Tyreek behind the line of scrimmage, makes a bubble, and that's all Jordan Brooks needs to come over and blow up the play. Minka, Jordan Brooks making plays downhill. I'm very excited to see Minka in this system. I think he's going to have a really strong season. Julian Hill had his second catch of the day for a chunk. Wilson puts on the upfield shoulder so he could accelerate through the catch. He looks smooth catching the football today. That's interesting. Usually not, Julian Hill's strong point, but him actually making some catches out there. Travis also talked about Ewers finds Armstrong on his hot against the blitz. Ewers with 2 nice bounce back reps. First to completion to Connor after he missed an open throw to Baldwin. So it seems like, had his misses there, was able to bounce back, was able to make some throws under pressure with, we've talked about Ewers, kind of struggling under pressure in college. Seems like he's at least doing a decent enough job early in camp, but really want to see it in live action for myself. But that's at least a step in the right direction, at least be able to locate the blitz and find where you're hot. Storm loses a couple reps to Tyreek, where Tyreek's just running crazy routes. Tua hitting some timing routes there. I think, we have video of that one as well, so we can go to that. Here we got it. Dolphins, we can watch what's going on here. Tua dropping back. Dolphins look like they're playing cover one robber. I mean, that's a tough ask for like any corner in the NFL to cover Tyreek one-on-one, but you can just see the timing. Hit that back foot, come off his first read, throw to, this is what you want to see the offense be able to accomplish this year. Starting to the right, he could hit Waddle, but he comes off that first read because this linebacker and the safety cheat to this side. He still could potentially make that throw, but he manipulates his eyes, comes back to find Tyreek, and still throw the ball with perfect timing. Hit him with a chest, an absolute laser down the field, over the middle of the field. Interesting concept, too, because watch the route from Tyreek. He releases to the inside. Interesting, because usually they'll run these types of concepts and like Waddle's running a pretty, normal concept here that the Dolphins like to run, where it's like that glance route. You might call it like a drift route over the middle. But with how Tyreek works back to the corner on this inside release, it is interesting. I wonder if this is like a timing play, because Waddle's the first read and maybe he takes a couple extra steps to be the second read, then sinks his hips to get back to the inside. I kind of like that extra little nuance to the route, because that's not something I've seen the Dolphins do in the past. So that is interesting. Just wanted to point that. I actually just noticed that. I didn't really pay attention, but yeah, that was a definite wicked route that we were able to see there. Not one we usually see from Tyreek, but yeah. And they continued that. Tyreek had apparently 3 straight catches from Tua. Then they got into 2-minute drill at the end, another heavy drive. Tua took them down for a field goal for a second straight day. Seemed like they've been effective in those drills where you're just trying to get a field goal, in the 2 minutes, either, end of half, end of game type situations. And I feel like the Dolphins can be successful with that. And I would like to see that type of stuff be translated to the offense in other situations where you just run no huddle. I think that's something Tua's always kind of been comfortable doing. We just don't do it very often. So I would like to see that at least. I mean, it's never going to be the main, a main part of the offense, but I would like to see it become more common at least. Looks like an inside release on a corner post route. Yeah, very interesting, because usually there is a little corner post element, but he almost breaks it across, he really flattens it out too. So it's like a combination there, but yeah, definitely a corner post-esque type route, and running that off the inside release, pretty awesome stuff. Miami needs to sign. Yeah, I mean, I just don't even know if there's other what fullbacks are out there, to be honest, like that are like legitimate fullbacks, because it's a very rare position in the NFL to find anyways. So we'll see what options are out there. Wilson's turn in the 2-minute. He throws a quick out to Farrah Brown that Jack Jones felt. He could have had a big blindside shot. Obviously, he didn't do that, protect his teammate, but that was a potential to blow that up. Quinn Bell crashes in across the face of Ryan Hayes and moves Zach Wilson off the spot, forces a throwaway. But then Wilson hits Eskridge for a chunk gain that takes the offense to the 35, get to the line and kill it. Nice to see, Eskridge back out there after potentially thinking he could have been out for a while after that injury early on yesterday. So good news for Eskridge. He is someone that is fighting for a spot. We're seeing pretty much all those guys mentioned every day, like at least one of them getting like one mention in these practices. Eskridge, Taj, Armstrong, and Weiss. And those 4 guys are fighting for at least one spot, maybe 2 spots. It depends on how many receivers they want to keep, but definitely one spot for sure. There's the 4 already locked in my opinion. Obviously Tyreek Waddle, Malik, Nisk, Westbrook, Akine. Those guys are locked in at what they're going to do for the team. Yeah, those 4, it's going to be a very interesting battle. Preseason will probably kind of put people over the edge. But I do like a lot of those players, and it will be interesting to see what combination make it. And then also who could potentially be a practice squad option. And, we know how important practice squad can be nowadays. 3rd and 2 situation, Achane presses play side and finds a lane with Paul and Jonah folding down the backside, and he's into the second level for a first down. This sounds like it happens a lot, like especially when they're running away from Paul and Jonah's side, that like Paul and Jonah are doing a really good work on the backside of like some outside zone runs, which I think makes sense. Both are very athletic big guys that can move laterally. So I am excited to see that in action for myself, especially. I'm very excited for preseason to see all the young guys play, especially the rookies, because Jonah, I don't think I've ever seen him play left guard. So seeing him in some live action there will be very, very fun. Dolphins had 2 or 3 penalties, it seems like, back to back, and it pushed them down to the half-yard line. And Mike Hilton got a safety in practice. Not surprising to me, because Mike Hilton is an excellent run defender, has great instincts versus the run. He came in unblocked to get a safety. Probably won't see too many training camp safeties, because I don't think they start many situations like that. But yeah, good job. Like seeing Mike Hilton involved. He's an absolute dog. I'm a big fan of the Hilton edition. I think it's a underrated addition in that secondary, especially with the Cater injury. Then we get a Tua-led drive. He has tacks to start at the 20. First play to Julian Hill, catches a key block to string Achane on a reception that goes for 10. Then Tua hits Reek with Paul out in front to take it down to the 5-yard line. But then Bradley Chubb takes over. Looks like Bradley Chubb was able to get the better of Patrick Paul in a 3rd and goal situation to get the sack. It seemed like Paul had kind of been beating Chubb a lot in those one-on-one drills, but Chubb's able to bounce back. I feel like those battles are always exciting, and it's able just to iron sharpen iron type situation where offense makes plays, defense bounce back, defense makes a play, offense is able to bounce back type of thing. Just seems like these practices are being more physical than in the past. Players are more bought in, which was kind of the theme of the offseason with a lot of the moves that they made. Jack Jones comes from depth and fits a run for a pig hit on Alexander Madison for a run stuff. Yeah, a lot of these DBs are very willing run defenders. Mike Hilton comes in for a free run on Ewers' face. Probably would have been a sack, but Ewers does still make the throw, and he hits the honey hole for a sideline to Theo Weiss for a touchdown. So seems like Ewers and Theo Weiss have built a connection. Another receiver, obviously, that has a chance to make the squad that we've talked about. And it seems like Ewers probably prefers Weiss in these drills, which always gives a player a better chance in preseason to stand out, like whoever they built that connection with. And Weiss kind of seems to have the edge over, like, Armstrong's made plays with Ewers too, but it seems like Weiss has had a little bit more with Quinn, so that could end up giving him the edge in those preseason moments. Yeah, then we get down and we get to this play. Tua's first interception, 3rd and goal from the 4, and I have the video, but he tries to hit that tight window for Tyreek, and it was probably a pick 6. An interesting nugget on this play, though, is Tyreek did probably catch him around the 10, so he chased him like 90 yards. like to hear that Tyreek's out there at least hustling because, we know all the narratives that have to be broken with Tyreek. But here's the play itself. So 3rd and goal situation from the 4. Minka's right here. This player kind of getting blocked by this blue hat. So we motion out Julian Hill, and this clearly they try with that motion, and Minka jumps it. Good play for Minka. But clearly with this motion, they try to just widen these guys out and then hit Tyreek on the quick out, basically from a slot. I wonder if this was anyone but Julian Hill. This might have been more of a threat for Minka to, play outside, but Minka gets the pick 6 there. Dolphins do get to respond in the next play. They go from the 9. This is Tua's next snap. Tua has always been pretty good at bouncing back off interceptions. I feel like it's always been one of his strengths. So his next snap, he gets to hit a tight window throw to Nick Westbrook-Akine. Down in the red zone, just good timing. Nice to see them clear some space. It looks like, I think that's Malik there out in front of Nick. Kind of hard to tell, but who's ever this slot guy, he kind of clears out space and you hit Westbrook-Akine on that quick hitter, force him to take. And it's just all about timing sometimes. Sometimes when you do make those timing throws, we'll turn into the picks like that first one, but also can end up finishing it off. And that was towards the end. And then it finished with Zach in his red zone drill. Zach Wilson had 2 good throws in red zone on 3rd down to one to Ezukanma, and then he finished off with a Taj Washington touchdown. So Taj Washington's getting some work with Zach. I wonder if that means, he's potentially ahead. He is going into his 2nd year, so maybe that gives him the edge over some of those people. But yeah. Willie Gay getting interviewed. He said he feels like we can be the best defense in the league starting up front. I mean, the front does have potential to be very, very good. Especially if Willie Gay plays at a high level. Because the only question mark for the front 7 really is, how well I guess Kenneth Grant plays. But really that 2nd linebacker spot. Because you know what you have in your edges. You know what you have in Sealer. You know what you have in Jordan Brooks. So that 2nd linebacker spot is some question marks. But I do like the skill sets all around there. And if Willie Gay plays at a high level, man, you have some fun pieces to work with Weaver that can really potentially take over. But yeah. If he was beloved in Detroit, it was a mistake to let him go. I mean, yeah, it's just... I would say with Ify, they let him go because of the injury stuff. So hopefully Melifonwu can stay healthy. Wanted to point this out again because I think if you watch Paul here, Paul does a good job. I saw Eric point this out on Twitter, so I have to give Eric some credit. But he points out the blitz. Just look at Patrick Paul. He's pointing it out. Nickel right here. It looks like he's going to blitz. And they're able to replace that too. The ball goes basically where, the nickel could have ended up being. Tua feels it, gets the ball out on time. And also Paul, really good job getting hands on both players here. He gets hands on his first threat on the inside, on the edge on Chubb, but then able to also get to the free blitzer, which gives Tua enough time. So shout out Eric for pointing that out. Wanted to throw that one on there. If we can stay somewhat healthy over the season, yeah, they definitely have to stay more healthy than they have been in the past, which I don't think is asking too much because they've had some really bad injury stuff, but give Willie Gay the orange jersey. Yeah, he's definitely someone that seems like he's earned it. Thought Dolphins were off today? No, Dolphins are practicing. I think they're off the next... They're not... I think they might be off the next 2 days. I think, yeah, Monday and Tuesday. I know they at least don't have practices open to the public on Monday and Tuesday. And then I think Wednesday they have one open. And then I think after that they start doing the joint practices. I know they have a joint practice on Friday with whoever they play week 1. I think it's the Bears, right? So we're getting close. We're a week away from the preseason, guys. Thank God I need some new film to watch for these guys. Because I'm very, very excited to see a lot of these players get some work. That was what I wanted to talk about there. Was there anything else that happened today? Yeah, Tanner Connor was the one that filled in for Ingold off the injury. Tua's first interception. It happens, you guys. But I think that was mainly it. Yeah, they signed Germain Ifedi. I personally am not really a fan. Like, I watched some, and I'll be honest, I wanted to not watch anymore. Like, I probably won't have a film breakdown come out on Germain Ifedi because I don't really see the point with that one. So, but yeah, we'll have a lot of film breakdowns out after next week. So we'll be getting out plenty of videos, probably on all the young guys that play, all the rookies, a lot of the UDFAs, any guys that like truly play enough snaps to play, actually have film breakdowns on. And then we'll give our thoughts after the fact of like, okay, I think this guy is sort of where we're at. This is who I would have make the 53, stuff like that. It was Tua threw the pick six. It was his first pick, and then the next play he threw a touchdown to NWI. So yeah, they were doing red zone drills. It was Minka with the pick. Yeah, Grant has been. I think we didn't hear really anything about Grant today, but since the pads have come on, Grant has been like a standout, which I'm very excited for Kenneth Grant. I have pretty high hopes for the kid. Hoping you saw something in Ifedi cam with them all. Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to find O-line, especially guys who you're expected to play tackle at this point in the offseason. You can sometimes find guys like, I think Brunskill is like a decent guy to have on your roster on the O-line, especially as an interior player. But Ifedi's just like, ugh. I would rather roll with Keon Smith and Larry Borum. And, that's not saying much. I think at least they would potentially give you more from like an athletic standpoint. Yeah. Minka had the pick six. Well, potential pick six. They say Tyreek might have caught him after, like at the 10, but yeah. Yeah. And here was what I will say about Ifedi that's like at least a positive. He has played both tackle and guard, and he has a lot of experience in the NFL. So it's better than a Jackson Carman situation because Jackson Carman, woof. But like, it wouldn't surprise me if he made a roster because he's still probably a rosterable alignment on some team around the NFL. Like, but I don't have much hope there, especially because I didn't love him in pass pro, and I still thought he was better in pass pro than as a run blocker. And for me, when I'm looking at O-line to join the Dolphins system as backups, I really want run blockers because I know how important that is to the Dolphins scheme, and I know when they can run block, how much easier it is to run their offense and how easy it makes pass pro because of all the things they like to do with play action and jump setting and getting the ball out quickly and makes everything run smoother. So if they don't bring really anything as a run blocker, like Kendall Lamb's a perfect example. Kendall Lamb, actually really good pass protector, like really good swing tackle to have in terms of pass pro, but he brings you pretty much zero as a run blocker. That's why, like, when he came in for Austin Jackson, like, you just couldn't run the ball still at all. Like, Kendall Lamb was probably a better pass protector than Austin Jackson too, but like, that's not what really helps out the offense. So hopefully Jackson can return healthy. It seems like he will be back for the regular season, which is huge, but man, there's definitely question marks there. Hopefully Ingold's good. He is in concussion protocol. Seemed like it could have been really bad, but yeah. The new O-line worse than Eichenberg? Who, Ifedi? I mean, I don't know. It's tough to say because Ifedi's mostly a tackle playing. I watched him pretty much only play tackle, and Liam plays mostly guard. And it always is interesting looking at other people's system because the Dolphins make life pretty easy on the O-line. So I'm sure if Ifedi had to play, he would look better than he did in Cleveland. But I still don't have the high hopes of his translation. That's why it's tough to compare sometimes Liam to others of these O-linemen that join. Because on paper, people might think Borum was really bad in Chicago, but I wouldn't be surprised if Larry's better in Miami than Liam just because of this scheme. That wouldn't surprise me at all because I think he's a better athlete and has some potential movement skills to move people in the run game. And I think a lot of those problems that he has could be disguised at guard in the Dolphin system. Lamb was starting caliber in pass pro. Oh yeah, for sure. Lamb's really solid pass blocker. It just was not what Miami needed. How do we keep 5 or Biggers or Dickerson, your last guy? I think we keep 5. And then I think the last guy would be Biggers. I think it could be a few guys. It'll be either like Biggers, Dickerson, Butler, or Still. I think all of them. I don't know who they prefer at this point. Even preseason, I don't know if it matters too much for the D line because last year's preseason, Dolphins had some D line standouts, and a lot of them didn't make the team. Like and they still went elsewhere and made impacts. What's the guy's name? He was a D tackle here last year. He actually was very productive in the preseason, but the Dolphins cut him. He played for the Cowboys. He ended up going to the Chargers, I believe, after the fact, and actually like made some plays for them. I'm just blanking on his name. But like he's someone who could have made the team. Like he was a playable guy, but they ended up cutting him. Like that's why like it's kind of hard to get a read on what they want exactly as that fifth D lineman. No, not it was, or maybe it was no. Yeah, Tart's the one who went to the Chargers. Maybe I'm thinking of one that went to the Rams. Not Tart, not Hand. He played last year. No, Hand was on our team last year. He was last year, not Tart. He did go to the Chargers, but he wasn't the one I was thinking of. It was one they cut towards the end of the roster. Very good pass rusher, not much of a run defender. He played for the Cowboys before the Dolphins. Gallimore, there you go, thank you. Sorry, I'm being stupid. Yes, Neville Gallimore like had sacks last year for whoever he went to. I think it was one of the LA teams, I think. Where did he end up? He's on the Colts now, but yeah, he was on. Yeah, it was with the Rams. He had like sacks with them, like during that season. Yeah, no, not the USC guy. Yeah, Gallimore. My bad. Yeah, because like he was someone who had like a pretty productive preseason in terms of like pressures, but the Dolphins ended up cutting him. D line was a weird room last year to project because they had a lot of bodies. But yeah. Question 1: is there a picture of Ifedi airborne or on skates? Oh, I mean, there's got to be. I mean, I saw it on film. I could probably find a picture. I would say that's probably one of the biggest concerns with Ifedi is he puts himself on skates. Like he's trying to do too much. His footwork is pretty tough to watch. O-line depth, big issue. Yeah. I think that's all the notes from today, which is interesting. Hopefully we keep Keon Smith at tackle. I'm sick of hearing him moving around. He is a tackle-only guy. Keon Smith, Larry Borum. I'm sure. I wonder if Larry Borum will be the first tackle in at right tackle when Jackson is out. But yeah, excited for the preseason to get here. Lots of these, like to really see it in live action. I'm also excited for these joint practices because I want to see like because we'll get to hear. I think the joint practice is it in Chicago? Miami Dolphins preseason. Yeah, I think the first game's in Chicago, so I think the joint practices will be in Chicago. So we may be able to see we'll get to see it from a Chicago bias. Those reporters reporting on stuff. That'll be interesting. Definitely different outlook on things. Any more Saunders news? Jason? No, not Jason. John? No, I didn't see anything about John today. We should sign the tackle from Cleveland. I'm pretty sure Jedrick Wills has like. I forget exactly what it was, but it was reported like he's not a person you want on your team from like there was like maturity issues, like he didn't care or didn't like football, something like that. But it's also affected his on-field stuff. The only caveat about the line story was that players will start to get snaps as we get closer to week 1. Yeah. I actually really like. I mean, I'm not a fan of Larry Borum, but Larry Borum will be better in Miami than he was in Chicago. I'm not going to say he's going to be way better, but he will be more effective in this system than he ever was for the Bears. Because you have to understand, like, this is similar. Not, it's kind of similar to the Brewer situation. Remember, like, if you go watch Brewer's Titans film, there was some rough film. Like, he was like, Titans fans thought Brewer was awful. Same when Cowboys fans thought Connor Williams was awful. But there's certain guys that you watch them like, oh yeah, they're in Miami. Like, a lot of their weaknesses will be covered up. I think Borum is similar. I don't think he'll be as good as, obviously as Brewer or Connor Williams. But you also have to understand, go watch the Dolphins offense and then watch the Chicago offense. Caleb Williams holds onto that ball for so long. It's not even comparable to Miami. Just the time to throw is enough to make your O linemen look way better than they actually are. And then also it's like, if you can move and create some movement in the run game, which I think Borum has at least a little bit of, you can be effective enough for Miami. Now, as a full-time starter, I would have concerns. I do think he'll do better as a guard than a tackle. But I don't think he'll be as bad as people think. Is there anybody respectable out there at O-line? Like a Shaq Mason? Brandon Scherf? But I don't know if those guys would come to be depth guys. Can Brunskill play tackle? He has, but I think he's a guy you would prefer to have at guard. Like, your best tackle options with Jackson out is either Keon Smith or Borum. I mean, that's not great, but it is what it is. And there's not very many tackle options out there. Most of the options that are left are guard players. Yeah. But we'll see how it all plays out. That's why I think, like I've said, Tua's health and the O-line's health is the most important thing for like this team to have success this year. I think the O-line can survive and still be good enough with 4 of the 5 starters in. So if you have 4 of your main starters still starting and the 5th is one of the backups, I still think they can be good enough. I think once you go below that, 3 of 5, 2 of 5, you're in trouble. But we'll see. We'll see how it ends up playing out. But yeah, I'm a fan of a lot of the guys. I think Jonah and Paul, I think, are going to be a very fun duo for Miami for a long time, playing on that left side. Brewer's like the ideal scheme fit at center. Daniels seems like he's pretty healthy coming off the Achilles, so Daniels I feel pretty confident in this system. And then Jackson, biggest question mark is health, and he's already gotten hurt. Hopefully he comes back. Peanut Sanders. Yeah. He does do that. That is on his film. I'm excited to see some other guys. I think, Marshall and Trader didn't practice, but they were on the side with the bike. So hopefully they should be back relatively soon. I want to see them in the preseason. So hopefully Trader and Marshall are ready for the preseason game, because I think preseason will be huge for them. Very big for those like later round rookies, especially guys who haven't practiced a ton. Or him playing as a tackle is a problem. That guy's slow coming out of his stance and struggles to hold the arc with bendy edges. I mean, yeah, he was not good at that in Chicago, but those things are not as big of a problem in Miami, to be honest. Jackson's also not good at holding the edge versus bendy edges either, but it doesn't really matter a lot of the time because they don't put their tackles in that situation. Like when he's in Chicago, yeah, that's a problem because they're asking their guys to get a lot of those one-on-ones. They're asking them to true pass set, hold on to your blocks for 3.5 seconds. In Miami, that's a rarity for that player to be asked that. That's why I don't think it's a huge deal. As long as if he can go out there and get some effective run blocks, then I think it's totally fine. If he can't run block, then yeah, Borum's, I don't want him on the field. I don't want him on the field at all. Give me people. I want O-linemen out there that can create some movement in the run game. If the Dolphins can run the ball with their O-line, I think the rest of it will work itself out. And yeah, I'm not. It's like, trust me, like, dude, that Chicago Borum film is not good. But yeah, how about moving Jonah to right tackle, run skill to? I'm guessing you're saying to guard. Yeah, I understand that thought process, and I don't hate it. It's just, do I want to move my rookie off the spot he's used to? Like, I think you just keep Jonah at left guard. To be fair, Jackson is projected to be back by week 1. So this is hopefully something we don't actually have to worry about. Now, do we actually expect Jackson to play the whole season? Very unlikely. But hopefully it's not something we have to worry about when the first week rolls around, you know? Because I just have, like, I do think that would probably be the best thing to get your best starting 5 on the field. But, like, I don't love the idea of moving Jonah to multiple spots, a rookie in, you know, the year when I'm just trying to get him used to his left guard spot. I think that's a potential way to ruin his development. So it's just it's not a bad idea, but it's not super ideal. So depending on where the Dolphins pick in the first round next year, do they go corner or right tackle? I mean, honestly, I think they could take any. Right now, from where they're at, like, I think there's a possibility they could take almost any position in the first round next year. O-line, corner. There's a world where they could take, you know, depending on the season plays out, who, because Dolphins have a lot of players under 1-year contracts, so while, like, a need might not look like a need right now, you know, it might be a need next year where, you know, linebacker, safety, tight end, receiver, like when you probably move from, you know, when Tyreek's probably not on the team, that could be it just becomes, to me, it's just best player available. And then if it's close, you know, you lean towards player of need, so we'll see how it ends up working out. If Tua gets hurt, quarterback, you know, it's always on the table. It's just so much can change in a year that, like, I don't even, like, I'm not going to even try to guess because things change quickly. Yeah, I just don't want to mess with. I don't want to mess. If Jonah and Paul are looking good on the left side and feeling comfortable and, like, building that chemistry, I don't really want to mess with that because that's also a potential, like, that's like the long-term side of the line as well. That's where you're trying to build long-term is those guys because it's very young, early. One's a rookie, one's second year. You're trying to have that for a very long time. While the right side is more of the veterans that you maybe are more shorter-term fixes. I'll good until some bum right tackle gets Tua smashed. Rather put Jonah. Yeah, for me, like, I understand, like, the right tackle's Tua's blind side, but, like, I haven't really noticed that being the issue. Like, a lot of Tua's big hits have usually come from him outside of the pocket, not him actually getting, like, hurt or hit from, like, his offensive lineman getting beat. Like, he'll get sacked, but he usually escapes from that stuff. So I'm not sure of him that being, like, the blind side is, like, a huge actual impact out there, like most people will think. Plus, it's mostly about run blocking. Because to be fair, Austin Jackson is not a very, like Austin Jackson. He's actually a perfect example. If he was on a different team, and he was, let's say he was healthy and on a different team, he would be viewed differently because this scheme saved his career. Before McDaniel, Austin Jackson was a pretty big bust, right? So before this, like, before McDaniel came, he was a big bust, and then he had that really good year in 2023. And pretty much when he's played, he's been much better. But, like, as a pure pass protector, when he's in 1-on-1, like, Jackson is not good in 1-on-1 pure pass set situations either. But the Dolphins don't really put him in those situations. That's why I'm more concerned about, like, we need to replace him with someone that can run block because that's what Austin Jackson does. Yeah, Ingold got injured, unfortunately, but he's in concussion protocol. So it seemed like it was pretty bad because they were down for a while, but he did walk off, and hopefully it'll be good. Yeah, 3rd and long situations. Yeah, it's like only like real, like very situational plays. Does George Fant have anything left? I don't know. I mean, I imagine that they just signed Germain, Ifedi, and they worked out 5 other guys that they're probably not looking at people like that, to be honest. Oh yeah, should be interesting. Lots of different ways they can do stuff, but what I imagine they will do is with Jackson out, when Jackson comes back, obviously he's a starter. But with Jackson out, I imagine we'll see a mix of Borum and Keon Smith at tackle. Same with Germain Ifedi. And then you're going to keep everyone else where they're at. We have Jackson 16 million next year. Yeah, I know the whole restructure thing with him. I know it's like different. Let me look at this. I think. Let's see. Hey, why is that not working? Okay, we're here. Yeah. Cut post June 1st. Interesting. Okay. That would do nothing. Yeah, you would lose money. Yeah, it seems like Jackson's going to be here for sure next year. Didn't like they had to restructure someone. I just don't know if Jackson was the best idea for that. Any Asante Salmon news at all? Nothing that I've seen. It looks like Storm Duck is for sure a starter. Mike Hillen's for sure going to be your nickel starter. I think Melifonwu and Minka will be your safety starters. And then I think the other spot is still like kind of up for grabs. But I think if Jack Jones is kind of locked in, it will probably be him. But I still think like apparently Kendall Sheffield's in the mix. I don't know. I know Jason Marshall didn't practice today, so he's kind of was out of it. Bonner and Isaiah Johnson seem more so like they're going for the depth roles. But yeah, it seems like Storm Duck early on. And then maybe, yeah, they could still sign someone, but I think they're trying to see how things play out. Let these guys get some preseason work at this point. Yeah, any final questions before I end this off? Because that was pretty much all the stuff that I wanted to go over. Can Rucci be fullback? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried it, but I don't know if I would. I don't know if he would do that well at it. But I would definitely give it a go. He's more so only really played as like an inline guy. I wouldn't be surprised if he could do certain elements of a fullback, but I don't think he'd be able to like fully replace what Ingold does. Yeah, make sure to leave a like on the stream. Helps out with the algorithm and all that good stuff. Appreciate you guys for watching. What is the least amount of tight ends we could get by with? Probably 3. I wouldn't be surprised if they just keep 3 on the roster. Good players and good scheme. I mean, yeah. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time.